The Royals outfield this year might be the most productive since the days of Damon, Dye, and Beltran. Production not only on offense, but among the best in the league on defense, both with the glove and with their arms. Royals baseball is next on Fox Sports Kansas City. The Royals made a roster move today, bringing a fan favorite Jarrod Dyson up from AAA, and the Royals are home for 6 interleague games, including 3 against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Kauffman Stadium. I'm Ryan Lefevre with Royals Hall of Famer Frank White. The other end of that roster move, Vin Mazzaro, was sent down to AAA, so for the moment, the Royals are short a pitcher, and they add Dyson to an outfield that has had a great first half at the plate and in the field.
And defense really is something I really pay attention to. When you look at this outfield, this is one of the best outfield the Royals have been able to put on the field. And you look at each guy out there, Alex Gordon, who's new to the outfield, but you can never tell by the way he gets the ball, gets rid of it, and he's accurate with his throws to home plate. And you look at Melker Cabrera, here's a guy who played mostly left field, now he's in center field, and he's also been outstanding and getting rid of the ball and hitting the cutoff man when he has to, and he's been good just keeping the ball down when he throws to home plate. And Jeff Francoeur just really shut people down in right field, Ryan. He's done a good job of charging the ball, getting rid of the ball accurately with a strong arm, and he's always in a good position to make a great throw.
So there are the defensive highlights. We told you about the outfield assists. At the plate, all 3 of these guys already have 40 or more RBIs. They'll be facing Joe Saunders. We don't see a lot of the Arizona Diamondbacks, but the Royals have seen quite a bit of Saunders when he was with the Angels.
Well, off to a slow start with the Diamondbacks at 3-7, but 5 starts against the Royals, he's 3-0. And the Royals have to get ready for a good changeup, fastball, and curveball. But there's history, and it should be a good matchup tonight.
And it'll be Luke Hochevar for the Royals. Very good in his last 2 starts. 1-1 over those last 2 because of very little run support against the A's.
And just haven't given up runs. There's only 2 earned runs allowed in this last start, but Luke has changed his game plan. He just wants to use his fastball and cutter, get ground balls. His main goal in every game is keep earned runs down and get deep in the game.
The hottest hitter in the major leagues right now is Alcides Escobar. Right behind him is Justin Upton of the Diamondbacks, who is just named the National League Player of the Week. And we'll talk more about their lineup when we come back. Lottery. When you play, students win. You may have noticed if you've been watching over the past couple of weeks that we've been trying to use Fox Tracks, not for just select pitches, but every single pitch. A device used by both our television production team and Major League Baseball to evaluate the umpires and the strike zone. Here's how Fox Tracks works.
Our Fox Tracks graphics are powered by the Pitch Effects tracking system that's installed in every Major League ballpark. The system uses 3 cameras strategically placed to track each pitch. Unlike radar guns, which report the speed only once in the life of a pitch, the Pitch Effects system tracks the ball along its entire trajectory for a much more accurate and consistent speed calculation. With all of this new tracking information, we can now identify each pitch's type, rotation, break, and where it crosses the front of home plate. The Pitch Effects system is accurate to within 1 inch, or about 1/3 of a baseball. We take all of this information and turn it into our Fox Tracks graphic, a great tool to bring new insights to America's pastime.
What this helps me, Ryan, is that it gives me an idea of the strike zone. Since the center field camera sits off a little bit, it kind of gives me an idea of what side of the plate the pitcher's using, and one ball off the plate sometimes is enough to be hit.
All right, the Diamondbacks are in town for 3 games. Let's take a look at the lineup that Luke Hochevar will face tonight. And it's a lineup that is one with quite a bit of power. The Diamondbacks are 2nd in the National League in home runs. They are 3rd in the league in runs scored. And they're a balanced offense. They are 5th in the National League in stolen bases. So Hochevar and the Royals could have their hands full in this series. Here's how the Royals are lined up defensively tonight, presented by Ram Trucks. Mike Moustakas tonight will make his debut at home since joining the Royals. And we'll see if Alcides Escobar can carry over what he did on the road trip during this homestand. Took his batting average up to .255. His last at-bat was a home run in St. Louis. It's the Royals and the Diamondbacks, and the first pitch is next. The homestand begins with a bunt, and Mike Moustakas, when he was announced tonight, was greeted with a moose call. So he gets tested right away on a bunt. and another moose call 1 pitch into the game. Royals baseball comes to you from Kauffman Stadium in high definition, brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Get no fee HD with digital TV from Time Warner Cable. So 1 pitch, 1 out for Luke Hochevar, facing the Arizona Diamondbacks for the 3rd time in his career. 1 win, 1 loss.
Brian, I think when Moose made that play on that bunt, he made it with his glove. He came in, the ball hit in his glove, and he came out of his glove. So I was really happy to see him not try to barehand that ball bouncing out high off the ground.
He must have been watching the games when he was at Omaha.
You think he was listening?
Yeah. Frank wants me to field those bunts with my glove.
Only if it's bouncing high and with some speed to it. If it's slowing down and hugging the ground, those are the ones you want to try to barehand.
Kelly Johnson, a .215 hitter. He has 12 home runs. And he grounds it to Chris Getz. So a good start for Hochevar. 2 ground ball outs. Luke Hochevar early in the season was having difficulty keeping the ball in the ballpark. Not lately, as we take a look at the key report.
Well, you look at the fact that he hasn't given up any home runs, and that's a key there. And he's getting deep in games. And what Luke has said, Ryan, is that he's not worried about the strikeouts. He just wants to keep the ball down, use his cutter, use his fastball, and do some early outs. And his focus is really to get to the 7th inning.
And now strike on Justin Upton. Named the National League Player of the Week. And in his last 7 games, a .552 batting average with 7 RBIs. Fastball at 94, no balls and 2 strikes. Justin Upton back in 2005 was the first overall pick in the draft, and then right behind him, Alex Gordon. Late on a fastball, 2 ground balls and a strikeout for Hochevar. The Royals begin this homestand, and it feels more like the fall with 79 degrees. The game started on time at 7:10, and the time and temp is brought to you by the parking spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The parking spot at KCI. And the Royals lineup tonight against Joe Saunders, Alex Gordon, Melky Cabrera, Eric Hosmer, Jeff Francoeur, Billy Butler back in there with the American League rules, Mike Moustakas, Matt Trainer, Chris Getz, and the red-hot Alcides Escobar. And now let's take a look at the key report on Joe Saunders.
Ryan, you're 15 runs allowed and 14 starts. I tell you what, but he's been getting better. But opponent batting average is .393. That's the 2nd highest. That's why he's 3-7. And you just got to go back to how he pitched against the Royals when he's with the Angels, and that's probably how he's going to approach this game tonight. Not what I'm doing now, but what I did before I got to be a D-back.
So what would you do on offense, knowing that has those kind of numbers in the first inning? What do you try and do in the first inning?
Try to be aggressive, and he's got to be the one to make those strikes, and he just got to be ready.
Well, how about that for a start? Welcome home, Royals. Alex Gordon was aggressive. That's his 9th home run of the year.
When you look at that swing by Alex Gordon, he came out ready to ambush Saunders early, and he got the right pitch. The ball's supposed to be away. He left it middle in there, and he knew right away he got this. I mean, he just came right down through this ball, and Alex don't hit many balls and go toward first base like that. So he knew he not only got this ball, but he knew this ball was going to go a long way, and it was way back up there in the seats in right field.
Now Melky Cabrera, who had 13 hits in the 9 games during the road trip. Saunders pitching him carefully after Gordon swung at the very first pitch. Melky Cabrera leads the Royals and is 7th in the league with 83 hits, and that's hit hard. Johnson to the middle to throw him out. And we'll take a look at the Diamondbacks on defense tonight. And in the outfield, Gerardo Parra, Chris Young, Justin Upton. Around the horn, Ryan Roberts, Stephen Drew, Kelly Johnson, Juan Miranda. The Royals saw him with the Yankees. And Miguel Montero behind the plate for Saunders. Ball 1 to Eric Hosmer. Thrilled to be back in Kansas City. Just 5 out of 30 during the road trip. But here at Kauffman Stadium, he hits .365. 1 ball, 1 strike.
But it seemed like on the road trip, or early part of the road trip, he was just working through some aggressive issues. He just trying to see the ball a little bit longer, but he was really taken away from his aggressiveness as a hitter. So as a young hitter, you still want to be aggressive in everything that you do at the plate until you really learn what you want to do. You can't really think with these guys by not being aggressive. You got to be more aggressive and try to be on time for the fastball.
Right to Drew at shortstop. So Saunders comes back after the home run and gets 2 ground ball outs. So with 2 down, let's go out to right field and welcome in Joe Goldberg.
Well, this is definitely a good spot. You hear the French Quarter yelling behind me. We've seen the Alex Gordon home run, but you guys were talking in the show open about the outfield defense. Had a chance to talk to Frenchie about that today, and he said that all 3 guys just take so much pride in what they're doing. And he said that it's not a competition between them, but they all can do more than just throw guys out. He really likes the way they all read the ball, get the ball off the wall, get it in quickly. He said it's one of the best outfields he has ever played with. Wouldn't say definitively it's the best, because he said when you play next to Andrew Jones in center field for all of those years, you got to give credit there as well, but really believes that the 3 of them, top to bottom, consistently do everything well. Guys?
All right, Joel. And Francoeur fouls it away again. Still no balls and 2 strikes. 23 outfield assists between the 3, and that's 2 more than last year, and we're not even halfway done with this season.
Well, you're right, and we did some research with Al Broughton, and we found out that they're on a pace to eclipse the 53 outfield assists set by the 1969 Royals.
How about that? The original Royals were throwing guys out left and right from the outfield.
I mean, it's really surprising being an expansion team, so you would think that teams might think, okay, these guys can't play, so we're going to force them to make mistakes, but they actually threw out 53 runners.
Hooked into the left field corner, but hooking foul, and it's still 1-2. Francoeur especially happy to be back at Kauffman Stadium. Just 4 hits during the road trip, 4 out of 32. He did steal 3 bases. And 3 bases gives him 10, which is a career high. 282 here at Kauffman Stadium, 237 away from Kauffman Stadium. And he's had a good at-bat here after falling behind. Has now filled up the count with Billy Butler on deck.
I think a lot of times with hitters, you do things right as a hitter, and next thing you know, you find yourself not hitting the ball well. Then you take a look at your swing and you say, well, maybe just a little bit long. So I think Frenchie right now is swinging just a little bit long on the fastball.
An excellent plate appearance. Down 0-2. Fouled off a couple of pitches. Walks with 2 outs. And here's another Royal who's thrilled to be back at Kauffman Stadium. Not that he had any trouble in Anaheim or Oakland, but Billy Butler was not in the starting lineup for the first 2 games in St. Louis because, of course, there was no DH. And with a good left-hand pitcher on Sunday afternoon, Jaime Garcia, Billy was at first base. Wilson Betemit at third as Moustakas and Hosmer got the day off. And Billy hitting over 300 here at Kauffman Stadium this year.
Well, I asked him about playing first base for the first time, and he said he felt really comfortable. He said he'd really been doing a lot of work in his pregame and try to put himself in that position, so he didn't feel uncomfortable at all being at first base.
Must have felt like he had a bullseye on his chest on Sunday afternoon. I mean, they were hitting rockets at him all day, and was part of 3 different double plays.
The old tester. Well, let's pick on the new guy.
30-year-old Joe Saunders. He was the Angels' first-round pick in 2002 out of Virginia Tech, and then traded to the Diamondbacks last year with 3 others in a deal that sent Dan Herron to Anaheim. .60 wins, 46 losses. So he has been quite a winning pitcher in his career. 14 games above 500.
When he's on, he's got a pretty good changeup when he's on. So if that pitch starts to work for him, he will have some success. But sometimes when your signature pitch is not there and the fastball command is not where you want it, then neither pitch works for you.
Saunders' first pitch, if you weren't with us, was hit out of the ballpark by Alex Gordon. But he bounced back to get Cabrera and Hosmer on ground balls, and now back-to-back walks. And the first walk was to Frank Coeur after the count was 0-2.
Well, this is back in the first inning, and we talked about what do? You be aggressive right from the start. And he does a good job here getting through this ball. And I really can't be more amazed at Alex Gordon this year, Ryan. Last year, he had a little loop in his swing. Every pitcher inside was jamming him. Now he's clearing his hips. His swing's a lot shorter, and the ball's really jumping off his bat.
One strike on Mike Moustakas, making his Kauffman Stadium debut as a Royal. Remember, the Royals had that futures game during the first homestand when AAA Omaha played AA Northwest Arkansas. So Moustakas has played a game on this field. And he grounds it up the middle. Drew picks it off and makes an off-balance throw in time to end the inning. Royals take the lead on the Gordon home run. Kansas.com. And by Chevy. See your Kansas City area Chevy dealers. 1-0 Royals on Alex Gordon's leadoff home run on the very first pitch from left-hander Joe Saunders, who then backed himself into a corner after a couple of 2-out walks, but got Moustakas on a ground ball to short. On the other side, Luke Hochevar had an 8-pitch first inning, 2 ground ball outs, and then a strikeout of Justin Upton. It'll be Stephen Drew, Chris Young, and Miguel Montero in the second inning. Luke didn't have a single strikeout in his start Wednesday at Oakland, and that was in 7 innings. He gets his first tonight against the third batter he faces. Chris Getz backing up onto the grass, and he makes the play. 1 down in the second inning. Hochevar got off to a very good start on Wednesday in Oakland with 5 hitless innings. Gave up a couple of walks, gave up 1 run in the 6th, 1 in the 7th. He avoided the big inning, and the A's were poised to have a big inning on a couple of occasions, but he took the loss because of a lack of run support.
You know, Luke showed a lot of toughness in that game, being hit by a line drive by David DeJesus, right, the very first batter of the game, and went in between innings, kept putting hot packs on that place where he was hurt right below the elbow. And he said it only hurt when he reached up to try to touch his cap, but if he kept everything below that, it was okay when it got him through 7 innings of baseball.
Chris Young hits a rocket right to Escobar. 2 down.
Well, this is called being right in the right spot. You don't have to go anywhere for this one. This is a serious line drive, and Escobar takes 1 step to his left and lets it settle into the glove. As an infielder, you say, I wish all of them were like that.
So 2 down to catcher Miguel Montero. A .279 hitter. Among the league leaders in doubles. He has 20. He is swinging the bat well at the moment. He lost an 8-game hitting streak on Sunday against the White Sox. That is below the knees, 2 balls and no strikes. Diamondbacks would be the biggest surprise in the National League, I would think. Back-to-back last place finishes in 09 and 2010, and now they're just a half game back in the National League West, chasing the defending world champion San Francisco Giants. Former Royal Kirk Gibson took over as manager last year on July the 1st when A.J. Hinch, the manager, and Josh Burns, the general manager, were fired on the same day.
Well, I know with Kirk, they're not going to get away with too much. I mean, this guy came to play every day. I can still hear him coming from first base. You can hear him always turn a double play. He's coming down the line. He's, you know, just breathing hard, and you can hear him. So you always knew exactly where he was because of the sounds he made when he was running in the second base. But they got Alan Trammell on that staff, Don Baylor on that staff, and those are 3 pretty good ex-major leaguers to learn from.
Frank Coeur makes a play out in right field, and that's 2 perfect innings for Luke Hochevar. Tomorrow, game 2 at the Diamondbacks, and it's an Ink Student Night and local music showcase. You'll get a $7 game ticket, pregame happy hour specials, and enjoy one of KC's best bands. Tomorrow it's Hearts of Darkness before the Royals take on the Diamondbacks at 7:10. And then during the game, it's Jeff Francis against Arizona right-hander Ian Kennedy, who has won 7 games. Alex Gordon swung at the first pitch in the first inning and homered. And now Matt Traynor fouls the first pitch away. Hit sharply to Stephen Drew at shortstop, and he slings it over to first for out number 1. Let's take a look at tonight's You Call It question presented by Sprint. Who had the best outfield arm? Carlos Beltran, Jermaine Dye, Amos Otis, or Mark Teahan? I saw 3 of those. I've seen a highlight or 2 of Amos Otis, so we'll lean on you for that one, Frank. Text 432-432. Enter keyword Royals followed by a space and then A, B, C, or D.
I'm gonna go with Jermaine Dye. He not only had a strong arm, but he had an accurate arm. And even though Beltran had a strong arm, there's a tendency for him to overthrow, and he airmailed a few. Amos, to be in the center field, had a good arm. The thing about Amos, I like he was accurate, but he managed the game very well. We always seem to keep the double play in order. But if we're going just strictly arm strength, then I would take Jermaine Dye overall.
I'm going with you. Carlos Beltran, though, had the best somersault following a throw of those 4. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Getz. I mean, when he would unload a throw, he would put everything he had from the ends of his toes to the top of his head into every throw.
Well, that was one of the things being his outfield coach that I tried to get him to do is just try to find that little area where you can sacrifice a little power for accuracy, but he just couldn't get it done.
Getz has hit in 5 in a row with a 1-out single, so 1 on 1 out. Alcides Escobar comes up, and we go back to Joel.
Well, Ryan, I was talking with Alcides today because he had such an amazing road trip, and of course we know sometimes when guys get really hot at the plate and then they hit a home run, they can get a little power happy, and I asked him about that, and he said he doesn't plan on changing anything. That home run the other day on Sunday was a 10-pitch at bat. He kept fouling balls off until he got exactly what he was looking for. Nice short swing. We take a look now at the home run. Incredibly patient. He said that he knew it was gone the second it came off of his bat, but he didn't swing all that hard. And he said that's the key. Continue to be short, continue what he's doing, and he knows that the results will come. Guys?
Well, he was good from game 1 of the road trip till that home run in his last at-bat. 18 out of 33, which is .545. 9 runs scored, 7 RBIs. When the Royals left for the road trip, he was hitting .212. Getz is running, and he is gunned down. Good throw, and a lightning quick tag by the shortstop Stephen Drew.
Well, it was a good throw and a good tag. This is where you want to see Alcides maybe do a fake bunt to try to hold the catcher back in there a little bit longer, and that would give you a little bit more insurance to get into second base. Drew gets there, gets down on one knee, and he stays right in there with that tag. That was a good play on both parts.
3rd time that Getz has been gunned down this year. 1 ball, 1 strike on Escobar. If you go back a little further, in his last 12 games, Escobar has gone from .203 to .255. 52 points in his last 12 games.
Well, you know, that's an amazing turnaround for him, but it's a commitment also. When you've done your way and it hasn't worked, and you completely sell out, then it usually works to your advantage.
Saunders strikes out his first, and the Royals are down in the second. by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. Back at Kauffman Stadium with a 1-0 Royals lead, and before we get to the top of the third inning, we want to welcome to the booth Jeff Foxworthy.
Thank
comedian.
you so much.
Great seeing you.
Great being here. What a beautiful ballpark.
You were not only out here to watch the game, but we got to watch you take batting practice before the game.
Please tell me that they did not film that. Well, I always try to provide laughs, and so if I'm not on stage,
here we go. Now that's a line drive. That's a solid swing. There's another one.
Real quick hands. Because I last hit about 30 years ago, so that was great. What fun, though.
Now, you are a Royals fan.
I'm a Royals fan,
because you and Ned Yost.
Because Ned Yost is one of my best friends on the planet. Love Ned to death. And so we searched the schedule and found when they were having an off day, and came in Sunday and spent the day with Ned yesterday. And he was gracious enough to let me and my brother and two of his other best friends come and take batting practice today. And we didn't want to take the uniforms off. It's like every little boy's dream come true.
Mm-hmm. Well, we did. You and Ned talked a little bit about your hunting experiences in the off season.
Yeah, Ned, and you know what is funny, because I went and did the pregame media with Ned, and I was talking about how funny Ned was, and everybody in the media went, "Ned, what?" Because he's so serious when he's at the ballpark. But we've been bow hunting and fishing buddies for years, and he's just so relaxed out there. But just what a great organization. Just we've had the best day. Nice people, top to bottom, and what a beautiful field. Had a great time and went through the Hall of Fame and saw all your stuff there. That was great.
How did you get to know each other?
And Ned and I actually, when he was coaching in Atlanta, met in a Bible study with John Smoltz about 15 years ago, and we just hit it off right off the bat. And so Ned and I have been friends for about 15 years. And now he's got a place in Georgia. He has a farm right down the road from. I've got a farm about an hour south of the airport, and so in the off season, that's what we do. We go bow hunting and fishing together.
That's great. Is this a busy time of the year for you?
Actually, summer is one of my slow times. For the last 5 years, I have filmed Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? We do most of that in the summer because the kids on the show obviously aren't in school. We film, but we film about 170 episodes in 5.5 weeks.
Well, most of us find that we're not.
Yeah. Oh, trust me. I tell everybody, if they didn't give me the blue cards, that would be the shortest show on television.
Do you, having watched the show, do you think to yourself, would I have known this prior to reading this card?
You know what I try to do, because I've got the answers on the bottom card, and before the show starts, I say, okay, I'm not going to look at the answers, and I want to see how much money I would win. And by the time we get up to about the second grade, I'm back there peeking at the cards. We had a lady. It was a question about an antonym, and she said, "Oh, I remember there were homonyms and synonyms and antonyms." She said, "I can't remember the difference in them. Can you use it in a sentence?" And I was like, my Aunt Nim came over for Thanksgiving dinner. I have no idea what an Aunt Nim is.
Can you stick around for another half inning?
Absolutely.
As it always turns out, when we have a guest, we have a fast inning. We're chatting with Jeff Foxworthy. The Royals lead 1-0. Jaramillo has been inspired by her grandparents' journey to the U.S. from Mexico as they worked on the railroad in the early 1900s. And today, Mary Lou serves as the CEO of El Centro Incorporated, which supports the growing Hispanic population by providing programs and services, including education, child care, advocacy, and community outreach. And she is sitting in the Buck O'Neil Legacy seat at tonight's game. We're chatting with comedian and game show host Jeff Foxworthy, close friend of Ned Yost, who took batting practice today before the game. We saw some swings in the last half inning. Were you already a baseball fan before you and Ned became close friends?
Yeah, I've been a baseball fan my whole life. Okay. I grew up in Atlanta, so I've been a Braves fan since I was a little bitty kid. Yes, I always loved baseball, and I've come to the realization that I may not ever make it to the major leagues. I'm going to be 53 this year, and you know, that may be the cutoff. I don't know, but I got some good swings in today, and Frenchie was watching me hit, and I think it really has helped him a lot. So,
well, our producer Kevin Shank said, yeah, he thinks you made it today.
Yeah. But it's so funny. I mean, you know, in my job, I mean, I've performed for 5 presidents and done the Tonight Show, I don't know how many times. But for me,
Alex Gordon, after a home run in the first inning, doubles leading off the third. So he's working on the cycle.
But it really is every guy's dream come true to get to put that uniform on and go down on that field and get to take some swings in the cage.
Well, we'll take a look at Alex swing here. Kind of like yours right there.
Very
nice,
similar.
quick.
Yeah. Real quick hands. Just
ball
like
jumps off the bat.
Yeah.
Look at that. Slow motion.
See, if you flipped it around, it's my swing. It's just from the other side of the plate.
Well, he's off to a great start tonight.
If you don't mind me asking, because I'm sure you've been asked this 10,000 times, but having heard you so many times, I wonder, did you have any idea that the redneck bit would take off the way that it did?
Never. I mean, I'm not that smart. It started, I mean, obviously I've got this accent, but when I started in comedy, I always wore boots in jeans and drove a truck. And as I would travel around the country, they'd always kid me. It was good-natured. And it's like, Foxworthy, you're nothing but a redneck from Georgia. And one night I'm playing right outside Detroit, Michigan in a club, and after the show we're sitting around and they're kidding me about being a redneck. Well, the club we were playing in was attached to a bowling alley that had valet parking. And I said, if you don't think you have rednecks, go look out the window. There are people valet parking at the bowling alley. And it was just one of those, I mean, so that night I went to the hotel and I wrote 10 Ways How to Tell, and never thinking it was going to be calendars or books. You know, it's one-liners. I don't even do one-liners, but I think they were easy to remember and easy to retell. And people, if it wasn't everybody had a relative that was guilty of some of that stuff.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I mean, that first one I think was 1987, and I'm still doing the page-a-day calendars, you know, what, 24, 25 years later.
Well, you and Ned were talking earlier about being country and both guys being from Atlanta, and you said, well, Ned's driving my truck.
Yes, yeah.
That'll be deep enough to get Alex Gordon to third base, so a productive out for Melky Cabrera. And just to prove our point that Jeff Foxworthy's swing is just like Alex Gordon, we got a split screen here, and it's hard to tell who's who.
There you go. I mean, see the ball jump off the bat? It's the same way.
Yeah. Same follow through.
Same follow through.
Two
finish.
hands on the bat, finish high.
Yeah. That just has to make you cringe, Frank.
Oh,
just
man.
to watch that.
It makes me want to be in here with you.
We actually got Ned in the cage today. He said he hadn't swung a bat in about 6 years. He's got a pretty little follow through too.
Ryan, have you seen Ned's truck?
I have not seen that.
He's got this white pickup. It's got the big tires on it, and
lift it up.
You got to jump in it to get in it. That's for sure. And Jeff said, "Well, that's the truck I sold him."
Yeah, that's my old truck, and Ned has my old tractor. So yeah, that's how close we are. And I don't know if there's a redneck joke in it, but the screensaver on Ned's computer is his tractor. There's got to be a redneck joke in there somewhere.
Absolutely. I think you just said it.
If your screensaver is your tractor, you might be a redneck. Yeah.
Is there a redneck baseball joke that you've come up with yet? Have you been able to connect the two, that you might be a redneck if you fill in the blank at a baseball game, or you bring to a baseball game, or maybe we could come up with them right now.
No, you know what? But the next time I come, I'm going to have a top 10 list for you, because those things surface everywhere. You know, people will ask me from Minnesota or whatever. So the next time I come see you, I will have a top 10. You might be a redneck baseball fan list.
Yeah, we need to get you and your brother and his friends to come to our fantasy camp in February.
Do you know, about 15 years ago, I did Braves fantasy camp, and I'm very competitive. And
Francoeur into center field, and that'll put an end to the bottom of the third inning. Hey, thanks
guys,
so much.
thank you for having me. What a
pleasure talking to you. And
what a thrill, and what an exciting team. I'm jumping on board right now with the Royals. Okay, I want to be here when things explode.
Great, and we hope to see you when it does explode.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We look at tonight's Time Warner Cable wideband internet pitch speeds. Kochevar up to 95 in his first 3 innings. 9 up, 9 down with a couple of strikeouts. So second time through. Ryan Roberts on the first pitch of the game tried to lay down a bunt to the third base side, but Mike Moustakas threw him out. 1-1. Royals got a leadoff double from Alex Gordon in the third inning. Melky Cabrera got him to third, but Joe Saunders got out of the inning with a strikeout and a flyout. The game's only run coming on the first pitch of the bottom of the first inning, when Alex Gordon homered to right field. Good hard slider. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, this slider's really tight and late breaking, and this is what they call one of them disappearing sliders. It's right there, and all of a sudden it's gone again. So Luke has got good deception on that breaking ball tonight, and good movement on his fastball.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Luke's strikeouts are down, and that's by design this year, becoming more of a contact pitcher, but he can strike out hitters when he needs to. He's had 13 in a game, and this is a team that strikes out a lot. And there's the quick pitch that we've seen in his last 2 starts, and I would imagine by now that is becoming part of the scouting report, that you got to be ready for him to increase the tempo when he's pitching out of the windup.
Well, that's a lot of rushing at you right there with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball right behind it.
Pitch stayed up, but it's lined to Melky Cabrera in center field. So Kochevar's retired the first 10. Today, the Royals in Fox Sports Kansas City announced our second University Day with KU Night coming up on July the 23rd. All Jayhawk fans are invited to take advantage of special ticket prices. Join us for special pregame activities and more. Go to Royals.com/KU for more information. Kelly Johnson grounded out to second base in the first inning. Fouled it off of his foot. 1 ball, 1 strike. When Jeff Francoeur was in the Braves minor leagues, they were loaded with prospects, much like the Royals are now, and there were a group of players called the Baby Braves. And Jeff Francoeur and Kelly Johnson were part of that group. Brian McCann was another. So Johnson and Francoeur go way back. Johnson, a first-round sandwich pick of the Braves in 2000. Late on the fastball, 2-2.
Yeah, that's one of the things that hurts Kelly Johnson right there, Ryan, is just the strikeouts. Right now he's at 86 strikeouts for the season, and it's only hitting 215. So long swing, and you can be exploited pretty easily.
Good curveball, and 2 down in the 4th inning. Hochevar has struck out 3. This Friday, Kansas City hometown celebrities Paul Rudd, Rob Riggle, and Jason Sudeikis will return to Kauffman Stadium in the first annual Big Slick Celebrity Wiffle Ball game. That'll be at 5:30 prior to the Royals and the Cubs at 7:10. The gates will open at 5. And now ball 1 to Justin Upton. By the way, on that Friday game, Bruce Chen will be coming back from the disabled list. And that is only appropriate because remember last year when those 3 guys, along with Will Ferrell, were in the third base dugout suite, that's when the "Come on Chen" was born.
One guy was saying, "Come on, Chen." The other one says, "Chen's loafing."
A shot past Moustakas, cut off by Gordon in the corner. Upton's going to try for 2, and he's in with a double.
I think Moose just found out what the hot corner means, right? When this ball was hit by Upton, it got by him in a heartbeat. The only thing you can hope to do right there is get in front of it and try to knock it down. But I mean, he just couldn't even move. Couldn't move 1 step even to his right. The ball got by him that fast. You're right here. That's it. Ball's coming up. See it just for a little bit, it's gone. So the only thing that the third baseman can do is you hope he get in front of it on that one. He just had no shot. Just hope he can knock it down.
So the Diamondbacks don't get a base hit. They don't get a base runner until 2 outs in the 4th inning. And now Stephen Drew, and he takes a changeup for a strike. Drew popped out to second in the 2nd inning. When we were in Oakland, we saw Jemile Weeks play, and we told you that when he was drafted in the 1st round, he and his brother Ricky became the 8th set of brothers to both be drafted in the 1st round. Stephen Drew has 2 brothers who were drafted in the 1st round. J.D. Drew and his brother Tim. Out on a fly ball to right, so the Diamondbacks leave Upton at second base. Off home run in the bottom of the first inning. The 2012 Royals Alumni Fantasy Camp is a once-in-a-lifetime experience where you can play with 18 former Royals, including George Brett, Frank White, Jeff Montgomery, Willie Wilson. It takes place this year in Surprise, Arizona, or next year, I should say, January 30th through February 3rd. Fantasy Camp includes taking part in daily practice sessions, playing against the former Royals, enjoying your own uniform, locker, and much more. 1 ball and 1 strike on Billy Butler. Call 816-504-4150. 816-504-4150. For more information or to reserve your spot for Royals Alumni Fantasy Camp. Very shallow right field. Upton with excellent speed. Couldn't catch up to it. And the wind was helping him out, blowing out in that direction, but didn't get a very good read, and Billy has a leadoff single.
Yeah, big swing, but the ball, he got jammed on this pitch, and it looked like he really had a good swing on it, and Upton just held his position just a little too long before he committed himself into this ball. They get a good look at it here, and just kind of paused just a little bit too long. Then he realized the ball was going to be short, didn't have that makeup speed to get that one.
Mike Moustakas grounded out to short in the first inning. His first home game as a Royal after getting his first big league hit, his first big league home run. Both of those happened in his first 2 games against the Angels. 1 ball, 1 strike. Grounded foul, 1-2. It's a nice crowd on a Tuesday night, a very pleasant night in Kansas City. Great night to be outside, and I'm sure some of this attendance, if not a lot of it, has to do with fans wanting to see Hosmer and Moustakas on the field at the same time. They've been crying for this in spring training.
I think it helps. I got an opportunity to see him on the road too and get him kind of prepared for it. And Moose had a press conference before the game today, and you know, I tell you what, in terms of being positive, I don't think you're going to find anyone more positive than these 2 guys here. They really want to be champions. They talk about being champions. They've experienced that feeling in the minor leagues, and they just want it to continue.
Line to center field. Young started in, but adjusts, and he makes the catch. 1 away. This July, baseball's biggest stars will gather together in Arizona for one spectacular night in the summer's biggest event, as Fox brings you every thrilling moment of the 2011 Major League All-Star Game. Coverage begins Tuesday, July 12th, live from Phoenix at 7 p.m. only on Fox. The Diamondbacks getting ready for that, and of course, in 2012, the All-Star Game will be right here. Matt Traynor grounded out to short in the second inning. 1-0 Royals on Alex Gordon's home run leading off the first on the very first pitch thrown by Joe Saunders. It was the 14th home run allowed by Saunders this year. That is the 3rd most in the National League.
Well, he thinks Billy might run.
You know, sometimes it looks foolish when the pitcher throws over to first and you look down and you say, well, Billy Butler's only attempted 2 stolen bases this year. This is game number 73. But when he does run, it's usually because the pitcher wasn't paying any attention to him.
Yeah, I don't see him stealing off a lefty, but I think what he might be thinking about is possible hit and run and trying to catch him leaving early on with Traynor at the plate.
Drew goes out and makes the play on the pop-up. So a leadoff single, but Billy's still standing at first base. And up comes Chris Getz. Getz singled sharply to right field in the second inning. He's hit in 5 in a row. Batted just under 300 during the road trip. And then Getz was thrown out in the second inning trying to steal second base. Throw back down to first, and Butler is back in time.
They know something that we don't know.
Grounded right to Johnson. No leadoff single, but Butler never gets to second base. Luke Hochevar in his last start had 5 hitless innings against the Oakland A's, and now tonight he's given up 1 hit in 4 innings to the Diamondbacks.
You know what I really like about what Luke's doing now, right? This is the 3rd consecutive start that he's given some promise going out on the mound, and he's really sticking to his game plan, and you can see where it's coming together for him. And then just giving up that first hit in the last inning there, that shows that he's really being consistent and staying with his game plan.
Ball, 1 strike. This is what Luke has done this year in his first 3 innings. He is at his best, an ERA of 3, and opponent's batting average under 180. But from the 4th inning on, those numbers go way up. Way up. 6.45. But most of that is from earlier in the year. Chris Young grounds out after lining out to short his first time. So 1 away, and let's take a look at tonight's AT&T trivia question. Who are the 4 current major league managers that played for the Royals? Strike 2, Miguel Montero. Out on a fly ball to right field in the second inning. One and one. got him yet?
No.
I'm struggling with it also. I got 3. It'll land in the seats off to the left field side. 2 balls and 2 strikes. All right, I got him. I took a much easier route than Frank did. Frank just tried to think about who those 4 guys might be. Coach Hader strikes out his 4. 2 down in the 5th inning. I just looked at the standings and went through every team. And did he play for the Royals? Didn't he play for the Royals? So 2 down. And there has been a Willie Mo Pena sighting. Fouled out to first in the 3rd inning. Appearing tonight in the big leagues for the first time since 2008. 1 ball, no strikes. Originally out of the Yankees organization, traded to the Reds, traded to the Red Sox, traded to the Nationals. And that is drilled into center field. And all Melky Cabrera can do is watch it land in the water. That ball came off his bat like a 3-iron. And Willie Mo Pena styling as he goes around the bases. Little stutter steps. So he's going to soak this in. Playing in the big leagues for the first time in 3 years, and he ties the game at 1.
Well, he just followed up his batting practice. He was hitting some of the longest balls in BP that I've seen all year, up around that 447 foot sign of the Bud Light. But look how it goes down, and he just stays right through this pitch. And it doesn't look like he hits it that well, almost like he hits it with 1 hand, and this ball just jumps out. If you watch Cabrera as a center fielder, I say, why isn't he running after this ball? But when you look up, this ball's well up in the water.
Juan Miranda struck out looking in the 3rd inning. And a good curveball is in for a strike. I haven't seen as many as you have, Frank, so I want to get your feedback on this. But of all the balls I've seen hit into the water in this ballpark, that was the lowest as far as trajectory. I mean, most times when a ball goes into the water, it is just a high, majestic bomb. I mean, as soon as it's contact, you think that ball is way out of here. That looked like when it went off his bat, at first it could have been a line out to center field, then it could have been off the warning track, then it could have hit the wall, and I mean, it looked like a fighter jet taking off of an aircraft carrier.
Well, normally when the ball's hit like that, the first thing you do is you check the outfielder. When Cabrera just kind of jogging after it, I said, wow. And then I look up and the ball's just still going. I mean, this ball had to have gotten by him in a hurry, because he recognized right away he had no chance to catch this ball.
Hard slider is just inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Kevin Shank reminding me of a home run that he hit before the stadium was done, and we showed you the Stroud's picture on the Hall of Fame, and that's about where it landed. I mean, it cleared the old general admission seats in left. That's when I believe the Cincinnati Reds were here for interleague play. One of the most impressive home runs that I've seen in this ballpark, and he just hit another one of the most impressive home runs I've seen here, and that's why so many teams kept giving Willie Mo Pena a shot.
Well, he can hit a fastball. I would doubt he'll see that pitch again the rest of the night. I'm kind of strong.
He had hit 21 home runs in AAA before being called up. His best major league season with the Reds in 04, he had 26 home runs. That is through the right side, a base hit for Juan Miranda. So with 2 outs and nobody on, the home run, and now a single. And we'll answer our AT&T trivia question. You want me to run him down?
Yeah, you got him. I have no clue. right now anyway.
Well, with the Padres, you got Bud Black. With the Diamondbacks, you've got Kurt Gibson. With the Pirates, you have Clint Hurdle. And the trick question, or the trick answer, if you will, was Bob Melvin, who was
Oakland.
Recently became the A's manager. So there you go. The
Kurt was
four.
here 1 year, right? With the Royals.
Well, let's go to the book. Outside to Gerardo Parra. Kirk Gibson would have given you the 1991 season with the Royals, so the year after you retired. Slide step, and that's hit hard to center field. Cabrera was shallow, but he runs it down, and that ends the inning. Willie Mo Pena ties the game with a home run. Tonight's league leaders brought to you by your Kansas City area Toyota dealers. Best major league averages over the last 10 games. Alcides Escobar, 545. Justin Upton at 475. Both hitters raising their batting average by 30 or more points. Escobar struck out looking against Joe Saunders in the second inning. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And the one thing that Escobar is probably a little befuddled about with Joe Saunders is that most lefties want to throw the ball away, but he's been pounding him inside with fastballs and got a called third strike on a fastball inside. So when you know a guy is trying to go to the opposite field and that's his focus, then the best place to pitch him is inside.
3-1. Pitches all over the strike zone and at best on the edge of the strike zone. Last time Saunders faced Escobar in the second inning. Down the middle, 1 hop to Roberts, and there is 1 down in the 5th inning. Well, fans, check out columnist Steve Cameron on FoxSportsKansasCity.com. Steve takes a long look at the Royals' attempt to build a starting rotation good enough to make the club a pennant contender. In-depth coverage of the Royals every day on FoxSportsKansasCity.com. Alex Gordon is halfway to hitting for the cycle when he pulls that pitch foul. And he has wasted no time with Joe Saunders. Swung at his first pitch in the first inning and homered to right. Doubled to right in the third early in the count, and now swings at the first pitch again. Lays off the curve, 1-1.
I asked Alex about that situation in St. Louis when the first pitch went behind him. He said, I knew this guy tried to pitch me inside, so when the first one went by, I said, okay, he's trying to get inside and got away from him. But the second one, I said, I'm just going to relax. It's 2-0. And then the ball hit me in the back, and I knew he was doing it on purpose. But I like his comments in the paper. You know, I really believe that he said the right things at Albert. You know, you got to pitch Albert Pujols inside. If you don't, if you let him intimidate you outside, you wait from that inside corner and get the ball out, he wears you out. So I figured Willie Mays got knocked down. Albert Pujols can get knocked down.
Frank Robinson got knocked down. Hank Aaron got knocked down.
It's all about intimidation.
Alex to the opposite field, and Hara was playing shallow. So another line drive off of Alex's bat. 2 outs in the 5th inning. Has it been confirmed, and of course not by the Cardinals because there's a chance for a suspension and or a fine, but has it been confirmed that that was retaliation for Pujols, or was that a carryover from a couple of guys getting hit on Friday night, including Matt Holliday?
Well, I think when you talk about the situation, you got to pitch inside, and players are going to get hit, but not intentionally. Paulino's game, there was a couple hit batters, but I didn't feel like he was doing it intentionally. And when Holliday got hit, you know, it wasn't intentional. So La Russa kind of takes this stuff personal, but you got to be smart too. And I think as a manager, you can't let La Russa's reputation for what he likes to do affect what you like to do. So when Alex got hit, and there was not even a warning given, so I would have taken advantage on the first hitter from the Cardinals the next inning.
Monty and I thought that maybe that was, in Tony La Russa's mind, a left fielder for a left fielder, because whether you agreed with his methods or not, there usually is a method for why certain guys get hit. Or maybe in this particular case, Brian Talich has decided to do it on his own.
Well, that's always a possibility, but I think that when there was no warning issue, then I was a little concerned about that issue.
Yeah, that was strange.
And then if the Cardinals come up the next inning, since there was no warning issue, then I'm going to get my respect back, and I'm going to probably try to take care of the first batter and try to protect my guys at that point.
You know, guys, having spent enough years around La Russa, never having seen him or heard him admit to any of this type of stuff, but having seen it happen over and over again, my guess would be the Pujols up and in, which of course there's nothing wrong with that at all. But the one thing about La Russa, right or wrong, probably wrong, is that he will defend his biggest stars till the world comes to an end. Well, and it'll start with them, even though, Frank, it was not a bad pitch.
Well, I agree with you, Joel, all the way. And I think more managers, that's probably why there's certain managers in the league, it's like Dusty Baker, some guys that he doesn't get along with, they don't really put up with that stuff. And I think that you got to be smart about what you do. And that's good that he wants to support his players like that. But I think other teams have to support their players in the same manner.
Well, and, you know, the other interesting thing, too, is you typically wouldn't retaliate for something like that in a close game late.
Right.
But at the same time, it's almost like he throws that rule out the window and says, I'll do it, and I know they're not going to retaliate then on me.
Well, you probably got a good point there. I mean, you've seen him a lot. I saw him with the White Sox and the A's, and seemed like he was more adamant about it once he went to the Cardinals. But I think that as young pitchers like Lewis Coleman, I mean, I was really happy to see him not drop his head or anything like that when Pujols was giving him the glare. I'm glad he stayed with it. And even though Pujols did something good, you can't be intimidated by him.
Long at bat for Melky Cabrera, and it pays off as he doubles with 2 outs. A 10-pitch at bat, and the Royals have their first hit in this inning, but getting good swings against Saunders. Gordon had lined to left before the Cabrera double.
And Cabrera did a good job clearing his hips and getting to this pitch fastball inside, Ryan, and he gets the ball right down the line. That's one of those balls that goes over the bag fair, but lands foul, but still a fair ball, and gets down in the corner. You can see right here, it lands just on the outside of that line, but if it goes over that bag fair, it can still be a fair ball.
And now Eric Hosmer, who would like to make up for his last at-bat. Royals had Gordon at third base with 1 out. So a well-placed ground ball or a fly ball gets the runner home, but Saunders struck him out and then got Jeff Francoeur to get out of that and get around the leadoff double. Hosmer 0 for 2 tonight. And that's into center field. right at Young, and that is the inning. 1-1 tie at the end of 5. And Alex Gordon launches it to right field for his 9th home run, his 2nd career leadoff home run. And then Willie Mopena with 2 outs in the 5th inning, homers against Luke Hochevar. First time he's been in the big league since 2008. So we're tied at 1. By the way, that's the first home run allowed by Hochevar in 43 innings. So as we told you earlier, Luke was having trouble with the home run, extra base hits in general, but he has really corrected that over his last several starts, and that's a long string of innings without allowing a home run. Cut fastball is a little bit outside. 1-1 on Ryan Roberts, the Diamondbacks leadoff hitter. Tried to bunt his way on in the 1st. Mike Moustakas threw him out. Roberts lined to center in the 4th. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, that's a good cutter right there. I mean, this ball is breaking really, really late, and just he looks like a straight fastball. Ryan Roberts commits to it, and it's gone. And Luke's really perfecting this pitch pretty good.
Two and 2. We apologize for the quality of the shot here, but the wind has really picked up, so some of the mist from the fountains are blowing in front of our center field cameras. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Kelly Johnson is on deck, and then Justin Upton and the Diamondbacks half of the 6th inning. It is a very comfortable night here tonight, except for our guys out in center field who are dealing with the wind and the water. Broken bat and just foul.
That's a good example right there of what a cutter will do. You got it right in the center of your bat, right in the sweet spot, and by the time you swing, it moves down to the end of the bat, and you just shatters your bat. You see it comes right out of there, and boom, there it goes. Everything goes, and you got the handle left. It's got to be a weird feeling. You know, when we played, our bats didn't shatter like that, so you know that ash bat would break, but you still have a piece in your hand. But these bats just go.
Yeah, your bat's just cracked.
They just cracked, yeah. They didn't come apart, you know, like these maple bats do.
Just a little bit outside. Hochevar walks his first. Leadoff man on for the first time for the Diamondbacks tonight. Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Ryan Lefevre with Frank White, Joel Goldberg, producer Kevin Schenk, director Steve Kurtenbach, Associate producers Al Broughton, Sam Abramson. The producer of Royals Live is T.J. McGinnis. And glad to be back home with the rest of our Fox Sports Kansas City crew after a long road trip, 9 games in 10 days. Royals are home for 6 and then on the road again. 9 games in 10 days. Kelly Johnson is 0 for 2 tonight, and he is a struggling hitter to say the least. 4 out of his last 36. So he puts down a bunt, a very good one. And Trainer throws it down into the ground. He spiked it, but the Royals might get a break here. Nope. Runner safe, and then off the bag, and Roberts is out. Third base umpire is Scott Berry, who said Roberts at first was safe, and it looked like a good throw would get him, but Roberts went right by the bag, and Moustakas, as Frank always preaches, stayed with the runner.
Well, he did a good job. You see right there, Ryan, the throw's coming from first base, and you see what Moose is set up on the outfield side of third base. If he moves on the inside of third base where the throw's coming from, then that's a little bit easier to play. There he let the ball pass him and the runner. You can see right there, and the runner's safe. But if he's on the infield side of third base when he's expecting this throw, then it's a lot easier to play for him to make. That's why I say if you stay with those tags, good things happen.
So a break for the Royals. That close to being first and third with nobody out, with Upton at the plate, and he drives it to deep center field and up against the padding. Here comes Johnson around third base. Escobar didn't quite get it in his glove as quickly as he wanted to, and had to grab for it a couple of times. Hochevar backing up the high throw, and the Diamondbacks lead 2-1 on Justin Upton's 20th double of the year.
Well, he's some kind of strong. I mean, he can drive the ball to any part of the ballpark and get it out of the ballpark. But he split the outfielders, the Royals outfielders, quickly with this line drive. I mean, just got good follow through on his swing off the wall. Cabrera does a good job getting this ball back in, but right here, Escobar didn't get that first grip, but he kept his feet moving, and Luke did a good job being back there to back up this throw.
By the way, on the previous play, we were waiting on the scoring, and it was ruled a single. So a bunt single for Kelly Johnson. And then Roberts out at third base. Could have been ruled a sacrifice and a fielder's choice, but the official score giving Kelly Johnson a single. So Upton with the RBI double. That gives him 8 RBIs in his last 8 games. So that play at third base is a big play for the Royals. And a curveball is down and in. Ball 1 to Stephen Drew. One and one. We were talking about the All-Star game earlier, and remember, you can secure your seat to the 2012 All-Star game with season tickets. And when you buy 2 season tickets, you get 2 free, starting at just $7 per game. For details, call 816-504-4040 or visit Royals.com. Arizona Diamondbacks hosting the All-Star game this year. Royals next year. One ball, 2 strikes. We talked about this during Hochevar's last start, and the quick pitch from the windup, but he also goes to an extreme slide step when he's out of the stretch. There's really no reason for him to slide step quickly here with a runner at second base, unless he wants to disrupt the timing of the hitter, and that's what Luke is trying to do.
Well, then on the slide step, you just got to make sure when you're throwing a fastball that you give your arm a chance to catch up, and the same with a curveball. If you get your body out there and leave your arm back, then the pitch is going to be high in the strike zone.
Good curveball. Drew strikes out, and that's 5 for Hochevar.
Man, thrown many curveballs tonight. This is really a good one here. This one drops off on the outside corner of the plate, and Drew swings over the top of it. That's a real good curveball from Hochevar.
I'll be interested to hear what Ned Yost has to say after the game and what Luke has to say. He's given up 2 runs, 5 hits in 6 innings. So it is not a spotless line so far for him, but this might be the best, certainly one of the best games for him as far as all of his pitches working. I mean, his slider is good tonight. His curveball is good tonight. He's got good velocity on his 4-seam fastball. His sinker and his cutter are both moving.
Well, I agree with that. We got him up a couple times and got hurt, but that's the way this game is. But you want to give up your hits when they don't hurt you the most. But only 2 runs allowed to this point, and he's definitely in the ballgame.
There's the extreme slide step, and he throws it over Chris Young's head. It was a breaking ball. The most difficult part of that play was Matt Trainer somehow trying to get to that.
Well, when you see this ball first go over Young's head, he really feels like, okay, what's he doing right here? He takes a quick look at him, but you got to be smart. That's a curveball. You got to be able to see that pitch.
The Arizona dugout was screaming for a balk, and Wally Bell looking over his left shoulder a couple of times after that pitch, explaining to them that that was not a balk. 2 balls and 1 strike on Chris Young.
Well, as long as he comes to a complete stop before he can go as fast as he wants to once he comes to a stop.
And Trainer can't find it. Upton will move up 1 base. A wild pitch on Luke Hochevar. And that is only his 2nd of the season. Got to be careful with this hitter. Chris Young has a .252 batting average, but he has 36 extra base hits. Very high in the air to left field. It carries. But not quite enough, and Alex backs onto the warning track and makes the catch. Diamondbacks take the lead in the 6th.
Sonic slam inning, and our contestant is Betty Allen from Belton, Missouri. If the Ross hit a home run this inning, Betty will win $2,700. But if the Ross hit a grand slam out of the park, Betty will win $25,000 from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
All right, Betty, you have Jeff Francoeur, Billy Butler, and Mike Moustakas Off speed, in for a strike. Francoeur walked in the first inning. Very good plate appearance. He was down 0-2, fouled off some pitches, hung in there, got a walk, flied out to center in the third inning. Alex Gordon led off the first inning with a home run. So the Royals, one pitch into the bottom of the first inning, led 1-0. Willie Mopena homered for the D-backs in the fifth, and then Justin Upton doubled in a run in the sixth to put Arizona in front. Left center field, Parra and Young coming together, and Parra retires Francoeur. Let's update tonight's Sprint You Call It question. Who had the best outfield arm? No. Nobody's listening to us tonight, Frank. We went with Jermaine Dye. He has 12%, 56% going with Carlos Beltran.
Well, that's all I can say is whoa. Well.
Hit very hard, but Johnson was cheating towards the middle, so tough luck for Billy Butler. He's retired for the first time tonight after a walk and a single in his first two plate appearances. 2 down. 16 down to 8. The 8 greatest moments in Major League All-Star Game history are going head-to-head to determine which is the most memorable of all time. Go to MLB.com/moments and vote for your favorite midsummer classics. And tune in to the 2011 Major League All-Star Game on Tuesday, July 12th at 7 p.m. You're on Fox to find out who won. Mike Moustakas lined to center last time up. Also is grounded out to short. And that is line just foul off the right field line. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The weather tonight might remind you of the middle of September.
Definitely. Feels great.
And it reminds me, with the Royals playing the Diamondbacks, of a makeup game in 2003. The Royals were hanging in there. The Diamondbacks had come to town. There was a rainout in a makeup game. And the Royals were in the middle of a road trip, but had to come back to Kauffman Stadium to make up the game with Arizona in the middle of the road trip. The Royals got in the middle of the night from Texas. In an unscheduled game, it was a day just like this. And a crowd of over 20,000 here to cheer on the Royals as they were trying to win the division. Moustakas strikes out, and for Saunders, that's his third. Arizona leads 2-1. Kansas City broadcast booth. You'll never sacrifice taste for 0 calories again with Pepsi Max. New look, same great taste. Pepsi Max. 0 calories, maximum Pepsi taste. Arizona with runs in each of the last 2 innings to take the lead. The Royals haven't scored since the first. And there's a line drive base hit. And Jeff Francoeur is all right fielders dream about, although I'm sure he's done it in his career. Waiting for that perfect line drive to right where there's a chance to throw the runner out at first.
You got to have the right guy hit it too. Normally it is the catcher.
So the leadoff man on for big Willie Mo Pena. Let's bring in Joel Goldberg.
Well, Ryan, you were talking before about Bruce Chen coming back to pitch on Friday. Interesting that Jeff Foxworthy was here tonight, and you pointed out the other comedians will be here on Friday, the Come On Chen guys, and Bruce was very excited to hear about that. Joaquin Soria chimed in. We've got our own clown on the mound on Friday night. I did ask Bruce with his rehab assignments if he worked on any new jokes. He said no, but I got a new phone. It's the LeBron phone. It comes with no rings. And then he said that he did talk to LeBron, asked him if he had change for $1, and LeBron said, no, I only have 3/4. Bruce Chen on the Hill Friday night, guys.
The fourth quarter.
Both Bruce Chen and Kyle Davies are here tonight, although it sounds like Kyle Davies is going to get one more rehab start, but he's back here with the Royals for a checkup before he makes the next rehab start. Willie Mo Pena hit an impressive home run to center field with 2 outs in the 5th inning. A line drive into the water. How often do you say that? And then he went styling around the bases in his home run trot.
He's got a nice little checkup. No more fastballs. He's got some pretty good breaking balls to swing at, and everything's done away from him. But you take a look at this. This is almost like a one-handed swing. And look how far this ball goes. Wow. Now, for a right-handed hitter to drive a ball in that part of the ballpark, that takes some strength.
Thumbs up is right. Montero with a leadoff single at first base. Ochever comes back and strikes him out, and for Luke, that is 6 strikeouts, and that ties his season high.
And for Luke, that's a neutralizer right there. I mean, this pitch here is an outstanding pitch, and he chases that ball. And I tell you what, Willie Mo Pena is a great fastball hitter, but that's the pitch for it right there that gives him the most trouble.
Remember Serrano in the movie Major League? And he could hit a fastball a mile. And I don't remember, I think it was the manager who was saying, you know, how do we have this guy if he's hitting balls like that? And the coach says to the batting practice pitcher, start throwing him some curveballs.
That's the pitch that sent more people home than any pitch there is. It's curveball and the slider.
One ball, no strikes on Juan Miranda, who was singled and struck out. So Luke tying his season high with 6 strikeouts. But remember, the Diamondbacks last year set a major league record 4 strikeouts. They struck out 1,529 times. Wow. In 2010. That was 154 more than the next closest team. They have the second most strikeouts in the National League this year, and that's a fair ball past Hosmer all the way down into the corner. And holding at third base is Montero, and with a double is Juan Miranda.
You know, you catch Hosmer coming off the base to protect that hole at first base, and Miranda gets a breaking ball down. He rolls over the top of it and hits it right inside the bag at first base. And Jeff Francoeur goes over and does a good job of taking his time, making sure he gets the ball on the first grab. And with Montero running, he had a chance to hold him at third base.
So second and third, 1 out. Gerardo Parra has grounded out and lined to center field. Infield is in halfway, and it is down and in. Everett Tiford starts throwing in the Royals bullpen. Moustakas at third is all the way in. Everybody else about halfway. And that is line fair, and that'll drive in 2. Far up all the way to third base. He didn't have to slide. So a single, a double, and a triple. And the Arizona Diamondbacks have a 4-1 lead.
You know, change up right here, Ryan. I don't know if this is the right pitch for this situation, but he left it up and got a hit inside the bag there. Normally you want to see a sinker try to get a ground ball, but a changeup stayed up, and Parra really turned on it. And really, Hosmer didn't have a chance to move on his balls hit so hard. And 2 runs scored. You know, and Parra ends up at third base with a triple.
Tonight, Luke Hochevar retired the first 11 Diamondbacks. And at the end of 4 innings, the Diamondbacks had 1 hit and 1 base runner. With 2 outs in the 5th inning, they only had 1 hit and 1 base runner. And then Willie Mopena homered. And since the 5th inning, the Diamondbacks have had 4 runs, 7 hits. And remember, we showed you this earlier. Luke is so tough in the first 3 innings, and he was again tonight. But from the 4th inning on, the numbers changed dramatically.
Yeah, especially in the 5th and 6th inning, it just sort of started to get the ball up a little bit, and the ball's starting to get centered a little bit better on the plate, and you start to lose your location a little bit. But that's in that 6th inning, 7th inning range right there where you start to see some of that. But that's just another wall that Luke's got to pitch through as he goes forward with his career.
Didn't mean to go around, and the Diamondbacks will get a run out of it. So Luke has missed with some of his pitches, and now you can mix in some bad luck. I mean, that pitch just chewed up and spit out Ryan Roberts, and he gets an RBI out of it.
You really can't make a better pitch than what you just got right there, and it's one of those balls right there that you just hope comes back to you as a pitcher. But I mean, that just tied him up, and he just got it in a great spot out there on the grass, to where Luke didn't have a play at the plate. And you got to give Parra some credit. Great jump off third base, and he's going on contact, and it would have been a tough play regardless.
That's a good point, Frank, because I think as a runner at third, you're not prepared to go on a check swing, right? I mean,
right.
you don't envision that in your mind when you're thinking about what to react to, right?
Well, basically, all you're saying is they say going on contact, and if you're going on contact, you're just going to go as soon as the ball makes contact with the bat.
And now 3 balls and no strikes on Kelly Johnson.
I mean, if he's not going on contact, he probably didn't come at all.
Three and 1. Johnson in the 6th inning was just trying to lay down a sacrifice bunt, but it was so good that he ended up with a single and came around to score. And that ball's hit pretty well to right field. Francoeur is back to the chain link, and he makes the play. So a loud finish to a loud inning for the Diamondbacks.
People catch them in a lot of places other than their hands.
Bring your glove.
You need one.
Yeah. All of a sudden, Joe Saunders has a 4-run lead.
I was saying, right, that might be one place you don't want to keep them off your lips.
As long as it's a roll.
As long as it's a roll. They're very good, too.
Matt Trainer, Chris Getz, Alcides Escobar in the bottom of the 7th inning. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Trainer has grounded to short, popped out to short. Royals have not scored since the first pitch thrown by Joe Saunders. Alex Gordon leading off, homer to right. Right center field, but slicing and back into Upton. And there is 1 down. After this 3-game series, the Chicago Cubs will be here over the weekend. Great tickets are still available, and they are going fast. So if you're interested, you might want to pick up the phone right now and call 1-800-6-ROYALS. Or if you're in front of the computer, go to Royals.com and secure your seats to the Royals and the Cubs Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Joe Saunders 3-0 with a 2.5 career ERA. That was against the Royals before tonight started, and now he's given up 1 run, 5 hits, and 6 1/3. Chris Getz has one of those hits. Getz has hit in 5 straight games. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Looking back on a couple of innings that might still bother the Royals. The 3rd, Alex Gordon led off with a double. Melky Cabrera flied to deep center. Gordon went to 3rd, so he was there with 1 out, but the Royals couldn't get him home. Getz, after the deflection to the shortstop Drew. So Saunders didn't make the play, but he took the fire out of that line drive, and then drew him out.
But when that ball's hit back on the glove side, you always got a chance to make it go a different direction here. And I tell you, your shortstop Drew, he's got to be moving in that direction. If he gets caught flat-footed, he doesn't make this play. So he just deflected it perfectly to him. And Chris Getz is upset, and I would be too.
All 1 to Alcides Escobar. So the 3rd inning, the Royals didn't get the leadoff double home. They had a leadoff single in the 4th inning. And then Mike Moustakas lined to center, so some tough hitting luck in that inning. And now Saunders has retired 11 out of 12. Falling behind Escobar, 3 balls and no strikes. A strikeout and a ground out to 3rd so far for Alcides. And a 4-pitch walk. Saunders 3rd. And his first since the 1st inning. You know, that might have as much to do with an accelerated heart rate after that line drive from Chris Getz. I mean, I don't care how long Saunders been around. I mean, it's got to be a bit of a shock, and then trying to pull it together, catch your breath. And he missed with 4 in a row to Escobar with 2 outs and nobody on in a 4-run game.
Sometimes you got to take a little more time and walk around before you get back on the mound. But I can imagine being a pitcher and having a line drive like that come back through the box. You know it's always a possibility, but anytime it happens, it's got to shake you up a little bit.
That's Charles Nagy.
Mr. Sinkerball.
Longtime Cleveland Indians pitcher. He was with the Tribe when they were winning division after division from the mid-90s into the early parts of the next millennium. He is the Cleveland Indians' all-time leader in wins, starts, and strikeouts. And a strike to Alex Gordon, who has been clobbering the ball all night against Saunders. Homered on Saunders' first pitch in the 1st inning, doubled in the 3rd, And he is lined out to left field. Oh, and 2.
A similar pitch to what he swung at when he hit the home run, just a little bit more up and a little more inside. So Alex is definitely ready for that pitch. It just wasn't a good pitch for him to hit.
One ball, 2 strikes. Alex has hit in 8 straight games. At the moment, batting at .285. That was his 9th home run of the year. And the double was his 21st of the year. Very high to right field again. Into the corner. And off the top of the wall, it stayed in play. Alex will have a triple. He'll drive in Escobar, and it's a 5-2 game. Frank, that ball looked like it was hooking, and almost like the wind grabbed it and straightened it out.
It got knocked down. It looked like the ball was going to be right in the seats, right inside the foul pole, but it got out there, and all of a sudden it just took a left turn and hit right on top of the wall. And even Alex thought this ball was gone. It was a fastball to try to get back inside, but it left it down, and he was able to get through it. And in his mind, this ball was gone. I thought it was gone, but you could see the ball started to slice back to the left once it got out there near the foul pole and hit off the top of the padding.
Now strike 2, Melky Cabrera. Alex Gordon, by the way, is a single shy of hitting for the cycle. On the ground to third. A big hop for Roberts. And Melky Cabrera is out. The Royals get a run. And at the end of 7, it's 5-2 Arizona. The league brought to you by Panera Bread. Cleveland with a 1-game lead over Detroit in the Central Division. So they are tied with Colorado in the 9th. Finals in Atlanta over Toronto. Brian McCann with a home run. San Diego is in front of Boston. First time that Adrian Gonzalez plays against his former team. So that's what's going on around the league. A Chevy call to the bullpen for the Royals as Everett Tieford takes over in the 8th inning. Justin Upton, Stephen Drew, and Chris Young. A 1.64 ERA for Tieford in his first 12 games. An excellent year last year in the minor leagues, so he had high hopes. The Royals had high hopes for him in spring training, but he did not have a good spring training. but used that as motivation as he started the year in the minor leagues. Pitched well there, and he's pitched very well here. Frank Coor makes the play on Justin Upton, who has a couple of doubles and an RBI tonight. One down in the 8th inning. So Luke Hochevar goes 7 innings again. Strikes out 6, tying a season high, but gives up 5 runs on 8 hits. He was unhittable almost in the first 4 innings. Only gave up 1 hit in the first 4 innings. And didn't give up a run until 2 outs in the 5th. But the Diamondbacks bunched their runs together, 1 in the 5th, 1 in the 6th, 3 in the 7th. One ball, 1 strike on Stephen Drew, who was 0 for 3 against Hochevar. Diamondbacks are in a similar position as the Cardinals. The Royals just faced them over the weekend. A team in contention that isn't playing well at the moment. The Diamondbacks have lost 4 of their last 6. However, San Francisco was swept over the weekend at Oakland. So Arizona is still a half game back in the National League West. Mentioned earlier, they finished in last place in 09 and last year. And then they got off to a 15-22 start. But their turning point was May the 13th. And since then, Kirk Gibson's team has the 2nd best record in the major leagues, 24-12. Only the Boston Red Sox have a better record during that stretch.
I tell you, I think you hit it on the nose on these teams. They're so hot and cold. You don't have that steady play. It seems like it's a run forward and then there's a run backwards. And if the right teams are running at the same time, then you make up a lot of ground. Then you turn around and lose a lot of ground. So I think that the first teams that start to play more consistent in any of these tight divisions are going to be the team that's going to win.
Teaford walks Drew with 1 out.
It's kind of hard to see San Francisco getting swept with the type of pitching they have, and you know, but that's the way this league's been all the years. Just big runs both ways. The Central Division is really one that is going to be pretty interesting after the All-Star break to see what happens there, because that's when usually the big boys start playing their best. And with the pitching that each one of those teams have, from Minnesota's back, they can consider themselves back in the race now. When they were here, they were 20 games under 500, and now they're only 9 games under 500. And you can look at Pavano, you can look at Blackburn, you can go to Chicago and look at the starting pitching they have with Burley. Detroit with Verlander, and just, everybody's got that one guy that can keep that losing streak off of you, and that's what you want this after you go past the All-Star break, is somebody that can keep you from losing 4, 5, 6 games in a row, and they have the type of starters that can prevent that.
Arizona certainly has the offense, it would seem, to hang in there. We mentioned earlier, 3rd in the league in runs scored. They've hit the 2nd most home runs in the National League, 5th in the league in stolen bases, so they have more than one way to beat you. But when you look on the pitching side, they are 11th in the league in ERA. They are 13th in home runs allowed. And then you have the intensity of their manager, Kirk Gibson. And you pointed this out earlier, Frank, the roster that they have just with the coaching staff. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Chris Young. I mean, Kirk Gibson, Alan Trammell, Matt Williams, Don Baylor, Charles Nagy to go along with Eric Young and Glenn Sherlock. I mean, those are some guys that not only had good careers, but good postseason careers.
Well, I mean, you can't find any tougher guys than those 3 guys you just named: Matt Williams, Don Baylor, and Kirk Gibson. I mean, those 3 guys, they're about as tough as any ball players you want to see. Now, Don Baylor had the hit by pitch record for, you know, he'd stand up there and get hit, but when he got tired of getting hit, he knew what to do then too. And Kirk Gibson, he challenged you all the way across the field, whether it be offense, defense, breaking up double plays, and Matt Williams the same way. So I think these young guys, having these guys on their staff, they won't be allowed to take anything for granted, because these guys came to play and they came to win.
Still 2 balls and 2 strikes on Chris Young. It's interesting with Gibson managing and Alan Trammell as the bench coach. Trammell there on the left part of your screen. In Detroit, it was the other way around. Alan Trammell was the manager and Kurt Gibson was his bench coach.
Well, that's loyalty right there. It's because Trammell had a team that we were just worried he was going to lose more than 120 games, and he survived that. He's back in the big leagues and with his friend Kurt Gibson, and they find themselves in a pennant race. What a solid shortstop.
Kurt Gibson has 2 of the most famous home runs in World Series history. I mean, it's one thing to have one of the most famous home runs in World Series history, but in 1984, he hit a home run off of Goose Gossage as the Tigers beat the San Diego Padres late in the game. And of course, the walk-off home run off of Dennis Eckersley in the 1988 World Series when he was playing for the Dodgers and could hardly walk. He was in so much pain, both of his knees. I mean, he barely could get to the plate. And every swing, you could just see the agony all over his face. And this is one of the toughest guys in the game over the last 25, 30 years, and then hit the home run. I mean, only in Hollywood could something like that happen.
I agree with that, and I could still hear Sparky in the '84 when they decided they were going to pitch to Gibson. You could hear Sparky in the dugout. He wants to pitch to you. I can't believe he wants to pitch to you. And then he hits the home run.
That is very deep to left field. And Chris Young hits his 15th home run of the year, and he hits that one into the water. So the Diamondbacks, right after the Royals get a run in the bottom of the 7th inning. They have their biggest lead of the night, 7-2. So Young hits his 15th. And Everett Teifert gives up his 3rd home run of the year.
Chris Young, his last at bat against Hochevar, thought he had gotten one, but ended up on the warning track. But here he had no doubt about this fastball. Teifert tried to get it down, left it up, middle in, and he knew right away that he got all of this ball. It got well back up there in the water. So it goes back to location and hitting your spots.
Miguel Montero trying to make it back-to-back home runs. No balls, 2 strikes. Now Teifert drops down sidearm, and it's 1-2. Diamondbacks lead the majors in extra base hits. So they're not just a home run hitting team. That ball's hit pretty good to left field. So Alex sprinting to the warning track. He got a good read. He got a good angle. He makes the catch and then goes face first into the screen in front of the scoreboard.
That was an outstanding effort by Alex right there. Once you hit that track, you got to know how many steps you have before that wall shows up. And he made the catch and braced himself against the wall. And it was kind of like a screen out there, so he gave a little bit. But he was able to have maybe one step to try to help brace himself. But with that much momentum going, you're going to get sprung back in a hurry. Now that's a chest pump right there, right against the wall.
And now 2 down to Willie Mo Pena. He homered to center field in the 5th inning. His first game in the big league since 2008. One and one. 6 extra base hits for the Diamondbacks tonight, and 250 this year. 2-1. Teifert running that last pitch up there at 94. Two and two.
That's a little high for him. 94, I would think. That's an area he doesn't usually visit very often.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Well, when you don't pitch many innings out of the bullpen, it doesn't take much to dent a reliever's earned run average. Tiefer going from 1.64 to 3.09 in this inning. Good fastball up and away, so he finishes strong in the inning. Diamondbacks add 2 on the Young home run.
The Diamondbacks 7-2 after the game on Boulevard Royals Live. We will break down Luke Hochevar's start here tonight. Talk about a big game for Alex Gordon at the plate. Ned Yost reaction, highlights, and we'll take your questions. You can text them into 432-432 space keyword live. And who knows, guys, maybe we'll have Monty reenact the story he was telling me about Kirk Gibson taking it back to the food spread after a game. Maybe that, or maybe just Boulevard Royals Live. Guys?
All right, Joel, we'll look forward to that. Chevy called to the bullpen, and it's David Hernandez after 7 strong innings from Joe Saunders. This is Hernandez's first year with the Diamondbacks, coming over in a trade during the offseason with the Baltimore Orioles. Well, the Royals are looking for some hope down to their last 6 outs and down by 5. They can look at the Diamondbacks bullpen recently and in the past. Recently, the Diamondbacks pen has an ERA of 6.5 in their last 6 games. Last year it was one of the worst in recent National League history. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Hosmer. A 5.74 bullpen ERA last year, with 24 blown saves. One of the reasons why the Diamondbacks went out and got David Hernandez. Hosmer didn't sound like he got it, and it's Upton in right center field, so Hosmer is 0 for 4. Got to bring up Jeff Francoeur, 0 for 2 with a walk. And the subject of tonight's defensive play of the game, brought to you by the Home Depot.
Well, he did a great job on Kelly Johnson, right? Ball up against the wall, bounces off, and then here's Alex Gordon against Montero. Does a great job filling it on the track, and then as Frenchie bounces off the wall. But both guys, just fearless against the wall. That didn't come into play in terms of whether they were going to make that catch or not. They caught the ball first and dealt with the wall second.
Two balls, no strikes. We were telling you about an inning ago that the Diamondbacks set a major league record for strikeouts last year as hitters, and their bullpen was very poor. So they traded Mark Reynolds, who strikes out about 200 times a season, to the Baltimore Orioles, and they got David Hernandez. Hernandez pitched in 41 games for the Orioles last year. 8 of those were starts. Just missed down and away. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Big, heavy, sinking fastball. It comes right after you. He's a big man too.
Still 3-2. Impressive numbers for Hernandez. Opponent's batting average below 200. Strikes out more than 1 per inning. The only troublesome statistic for him would be walks. 20 walks in 33 1/3 innings. That could have been walk number 21, but it's fouled away. 96 miles an hour with that fastball. By the way, Frank, that ERA last year for the Diamondbacks bullpen, 5.74. Since 1953, and I don't know why they use that year, but that's the 6th worst ERA in the National League since 1953. Hard slider down and away, strikes out Francoeur. So Hernandez adds another strikeout, and there are 2 outs in the 8th.
Well, a bullpen like that, that'll give a manager nightmares every night when he goes to bed, because you're not winning many games, and eventually it costs you your job because you can't figure out how to straighten it out. But that turnaround this year from last year, sometimes it just takes a mindset that you have to get into to compete on a daily basis. And you know, we talked earlier about Jack McKeon coming back to Florida at 80 years old, and the first thing he does, one of the best players on the team, late to a meeting. What's he do? You're on the bench. You know, you need to see more of that in the game today, and you got to get the respect of the players for the game and for being on time. 2 things you control: being on time and playing hard.
Well, I don't know if Kirk Gibson was on time all the time, but he played hard.
I bet he was on time all the time. Sparky probably wouldn't have put up with that. Yeah, I can still hear him.
Having played in the Big Ten myself, and I don't know if it was true or not, but it seemed like every Big Ten city we went to, there was some story about Kirk Gibson hit one there. He hit one there. He was both a baseball and a football player at Michigan State. Very good football player. Billy walks on 4 pitches. So runner at first with 2 outs. And Mike Moustakas comes up. Royals certainly want base runners to get back into this game. But the fans, I'm sure, want to see some base runners so that Alex Gordon has a chance to go for the cycle.
Well, that'd be exciting if you can get that done.
And a strike on Moustakas. The Royals need 2 base runners to guarantee that Gordon will come up in the 9th inning. They have 1 right now in Billy Butler. No balls and 2 strikes on Moustakas. So if Moustakas reaches and Trainer makes the final out, then we'll see Getz, Escobar, and Gordon in the 9th. The Royals are hoping for more than that. Popped up, and Roberts makes the play. So the Royals are scoreless in the 8th. Arizona leads 7-2. We invite you to join us for a unique dining experience at Kauffman Stadium. The 390 Bar and Grill features a private bar, 65-inch high-definition TVs throughout the restaurant, and a climate-controlled environment. An affordable way to enjoy the game with friends or family. It's open to the public and located on the third base side of the Lowe's level next to Section 301. For more information, visit Royals.com/390 Bar and Grill. Joakim Soria coming on for the top of the ninth inning to get some work. Arizona sending up the 8, 9, and 1 hitters. Soria saved game 1 on Friday in St. Louis. Retiring Albert Pujols for the final out of the game with a runner at first. Soria 4 out of 4 in his last save opportunities. So he hasn't pitched in 4 days, and Yost getting him in there tonight to keep him sharp. 2 balls and 1 strike on Juan Miranda. Diamondbacks scored 5 against Luke Hochevar in 7 innings, and then got a couple of runs off of Everett Tiford in the 8th. 2-2 on Miranda. Three balls, 2 strikes. A couple of years ago, Juan Miranda got his first major league RBI against the Royals. He was playing for the Yankees, and it wasn't just any RBI. It was a walk-off hit at Yankee Stadium in September of 2009. And he strikes out. Soria pulled the string on 3 and 2. So a good start for Joakim. 1 down in the 9th inning.
One of the things about Soria, Ryan, is that he needs to be able to use all of his pitches, and the only way he can use them all is he's got to get ahead. And this is something we haven't seen much of him so far this year. Is the good use of that changeup. It's mostly been the big curveball, but he's got an excellent changeup. It runs down and away, but he just can't be afraid to use it.
Outside to Parra, who had a 2-run triple in the 7th inning. 1 for 3 tonight. Good fastball, good location, and 1-1. That's what I remember about Joakim Soria right there. Fastball, late movement, down in the strike zone on the corner.
On the corner, I agree. I mean, that's what we've been accustomed to, and you know, you play the game long enough, you're going to hit a rocky road, but it's how well you bounce back.
And that fastball rode away from Parra. Still 1-2. Tomorrow night it's Jeff Francis for the Royals. Same time, 7:10 first pitch. Ivy Royals live with Joel and Monty at 6:30. Francis will be facing Ian Kennedy, who is off to a 7-2 start and has an ERA under 3. 2 balls, 2 strikes. It is an ink student night tomorrow. And before the game, Hearts of Darkness will be playing in the outfield experience. Line to left, and Alex is there to make the play. And now Soria gets Ryan Roberts, who's having a career season, and we're not even halfway done with this season. He already has a career high 10 home runs, a career high 31 RBIs, drove in his 31st tonight, and a career high 9 stolen bases. Played in just 36 games for the Diamondbacks last year. Down in the count, no balls, 2 strikes.
I think what you're seeing right now is what we're used to seeing, Ryan. You look at Joaquin's fastball and you say, boy, this fastball is not overpowering, but batters swing and miss, and they also swing and foul the ball off. So his deception is slowly coming back, and for you to be able to throw a ball 89 and get it fouled off, or throw a ball 90 and they swing and miss, that says you're hiding the ball pretty good.
Joaquin running that one up there 94 miles an hour. Slow curveball hit to right field. So a good tune-up for Soria. Diamondbacks down in order. We go to the bottom of the ninth. Take a look at tonight's Chevrolet plays of the game.
From the very first pitch of the game, Alex Gordon made his presence known. Hit a long fly ball to right field off Joe Saunders in the first inning. In the third inning, he hits a double down the right field line. And in the seventh inning, this is what we thought was going to be out of the ballpark, but the ball decided to go in a different direction, and he ends up with a triple off the top of the right field wall. And now we're hoping he gets another shot.
Royals will need 4 batters for Alex to have a shot against Aaron Heilman. Heilman with a ERA over 7, and look at that. Backhanded stop by Roberts. Wow.
That's one of those situations right there. The ball's coming so hot, and then all of a sudden you feel it in your glove, and you tell yourself, boy, look what I found. I mean, he had to work on his balance and everything after that ball was smoked. And he made it look easy once he felt it in his glove. He made it look pretty easy after that.
Outside to Chris Getz. 1 for 3. Could be 2 for 3. Hit a line drive off of the pitcher Joe Saunders' glove in the 7th inning. It deflected to the shortstop Stephen Drew. That ball was headed for center field if not for Saunders' deflection. Outside, 2 balls and 1 strike. Saunders went 7, gave up 2 runs. David Hernandez pitched the 8th. And now Aaron Heilman. slice to left. And it's Parra there to make the catch. So Escobar needs to get on for Alex Gordon to have a shot. And Escobar 0 for 2 tonight. He did walk and score in the 7th inning. And that's lined up the right field line, foul. Seen a lot of base hits just like that one, going that way, hitting it like that from Escobar over the past 9 days.
That might have been a pitch about 3 weeks ago that he would have swung hard and fouled it off, and you said, how did I foul that pitch off?
Popped up. Johnson makes the catch. And to add insult to injury, the Royals lose. And Alex Gordon's night finishes on the on-deck circle. 7-2 Arizona. We'll be right back.